Hopefully you've already watched the video about active choices that photographers make. This continues those same ideas and are some of the rules in photography that are more active and mindful and intentional choices that photographers make. So, uh, let's go into, okay, the first rule is to be active and move. Don't just stand there with your camera like a lump. Move around, climb up on things, get down low. If there's something you want to photograph and you don't like where it is, then be active and move that thing to somewhere else. Point your camera in different directions. Just be very active and take control of the situation. The next thing is to be quick, be ready, or wait. So Henri Cartier-Bresson came up with this idea of the decisive moment. It is the perfect moment to take a photograph. If we look at this famous photo of his, if it had been taken a moment before, the guy would have been standing on the ladder. It would have been a good picture. We would have seen his reflection in the water. It would be very nice. If it was taken a second after this was taken, he would have hit the water. You would have gotten all those circles. It would have been a beautiful photograph. But this is the perfect moment, the decisive moment for this image to be taken when he is just hovering above the water. Now, our eyes and our mind don't work like cameras. Our eyes and mind work like a video camera. We see things continuously, and it is very hard for us to freeze one moment in our minds. And that's one of the great things that photography can do. That's one of the ways that photography shows us the world in a new way. So over here, it's the same thing. If the bicyclist was over here, it'd be okay. And without the bicyclist, if he was over here, it'd be okay. But this is that perfect moment for where your eye is led down the stairs and over to this empty space where now there's the bicyclist and he's running out or biking outside of the frame. When I say be quick, be ready, or wait, being quick means something really cool is going on and you quickly grab your camera and you take a picture of it. Being ready means, oh, okay, I'm going to a ball game or I'm going to a parade. I'm going to have my camera out and be ready and be looking around for things to photograph. And waiting means, okay, you're at the parade, you see an elephant all the way down at the end of the block. You know it's coming towards you. You lift your camera and you are waiting for that elephant to come right past you to take a specific photo. One rule is to avoid clutter. Anything that is in the picture that hurts the picture, that distracts the viewer, is clutter, and you don't want it there. There's a lot of ways to get rid of clutter. So if we take this picture and we consider these people in the background clutter because we like this subject, we're taking a picture of this guy, there's this waterfall in the background, and these people are all just distracting the viewer from the subject and the background. So there's a couple different ways you can solve that. You could wait until they move. You could change your camera angle so you were a little bit lower, so you just got him and actually get more of the waterfall that way. You could ask them to move. You could move this guy to a new location. There's all different kinds of things that you can do to avoid clutter. So when you take a picture, don't just think of, oh, I'm taking a picture of this guy. Actually look at everything within your entire frame. Look at all four borders and everything that's around and in them, and make sure that there's nothing that you don't want to be there, and you're including everything that you do want to be in the frame. So just because you have things around does not mean they're clutter. With this Dandelion photograph of a guy on a motorcycle, it's fine that these bridges are in the background. I wouldn't consider them clutter. They add some positive, negative space. They add some sense of space. It's fine. And here, having this thing coming up and this cloud in the background and this building and the windows, that's fine that all of that is in there because it's more visual interest. But there's nothing that I would consider clutter. If you had part of like a car, just a tiny part of a car going in, I would consider that clutter because it would just distract the viewer from these interesting shapes and layout. The rule of thirds is literally a rule in photography. And what that means is if you divide up your picture by 3 horizontally and by 3 vertically, it means that you want to avoid putting your subject right in the center and that you want to put it in the first third or the last third or the top third or the bottom third, or even going one step further. Some people see these intersections here as PowerPoints, and it's considered good to put your subject in those PowerPoints. And they've actually done studies where 41% of users look at this spot the longest, 20% here, 14% here, 25% here. So again, the reason that you want to put things to one side or another is it makes it a lot more dynamic. It makes it so your eye moves around. That asymmetry, that change of balance or that playing with balance gives this dynamic moving look to your photograph. So here we see this mountain is not directly in the center, right? This little channel right here kind of goes across, kind of from like this PowerPoint over to this PowerPoint, has some nice diagonals, so we feel some movement. And rule of thirds can be used on square images like this. Right? So instead of her being in the center, she's over to the side. It can also work well with vertical images. This doorway is over to the side. This little cutout is in the top third. She's over to the side, and this is in the top third as well. And this is over to the right side, and nothing is directly in the center. And again, it gives that feeling of movement in the image. So if you break that rule of thirds and you put something directly in the middle, you get more of a symmetrical feeling, and it feels a little bit more formal, and it feels static. And what static means is not moving. So you don't have that feeling of movement anymore. And especially if you put someone directly in the center, if they're looking at a camera, it's a lot more confrontational as well. The next rule is called eye space, or it's sometimes called looking space. So that is showing this space that someone is looking into. It's having more space in front of where they're looking than behind them. In this image over here, we have more space behind him than we have in front of him. And that can give a sense of unease. It's a lot more pleasant to look at this eye space here. Sometimes it's even called breathing room. And you get that kind of more open feeling. Here we can look at these two images, same image but shot 2 different ways or cropped 2 different ways. Here the eye space is cut off, and you get that weird sense of unease because who knows what's over there, where this little kid is headed. And here we see the space that the baby is looking into. We don't even have to see what he's looking at, but just seeing that space is a lot more pleasant to look at. Pole head is something you definitely want to avoid. So you do not want a branch or a pole or a tree or a building sticking out of someone's head. So this would be the wrong way to do it. This would be the right way to do it. So, move yourself, change your camera angle, move the person, whatever you need to do so they don't have something growing out of their head. You should also show some space in portraits. If you have someone literally right up against a wall like this, it's going to look a lot more like a booking photo in a prison, or like a passport photo or something like that. So even if it's still a plain background, here you can see this guy's pulled away maybe like 5 feet from the background. But again, it gives a little bit more of a sense of space. And the final rule is show the unexpected. You know, we all walk through life looking at things at eye level. So change up the angles or find something really neat that we don't usually see, something that shadows are doing that's really interesting. Or here we have the mirror reframing the image and reflecting it back. Here we have the ring making the heart. So finding those interesting, unexpected, beautiful, mysterious, intriguing things and capturing it with our cameras. I don't know why I find this so interesting, but just that little, like, why is there an ostrich back there? I have no idea. And I love that I can't see the web here. I love that it looks like the spider is just hanging in space. But showing the unexpected is one of the greatest things that we can do with our cameras. Finally, break those rules. If you want to, cut off that eye space if you do want a feeling of unease, if that's what you're trying to communicate with your photos. Put someone right in the center if you do want a more confrontational image or a more static image. But it's better to know what the rules are so you know when to break them. If you have any questions, just let me know and I'll help you out because that's what I'm here for.